Hi everybody. Thank you to Chris for putting this together. Thank you to my awesome co-presenters. And thank you to all of you who came out tonight. We all appreciate it. So, I am the first woman in Canada to specialize in men's image. Why? Because, thank you. Because I am fascinated by men. I love men's clothing, and I just sort of love men in general. Yes, who doesn't, right? So, I have taken it upon myself, because I'm a curious person, to learn as much about men as I can, because that's who I'm catering to, that's who I'm speaking to. So I've spent a number of years researching men, and hopefully that doesn't sound creepy to any of you. But, so I study sociology. I want to know what social pressures men face in their lives every day. I study their psychology. I even study their brains, because I want to know how their brains differ from my brain and how I can connect better with them. So in my studies, I came to a conclusion, because I'm dealing with style, and I realized that men have not had the social opportunity to express themselves the way that women have. Has anyone ever thought about that? Has anyone ever thought that this is a bad thing? Because I have. I think that men should have the platform and the freedom to express the way that they want to, the way that women have been allowed. And so this is where my work comes in. So I started life with a fascination in clothing in general, and I learned how to sew at a young age. I ended up getting a degree in costume design through theater, and so I have a unique insight into character, which most people don't, so this sort of sets me apart. And I wanted to initially be a men's clothing designer, but that didn't work, so we went a different direction. And eventually I got my certification in image consulting. And so, what does that mean? Okay, let me talk about my costume design degree first, and this will give you a little bit of insight. So, if I was going to design a costume for one of you in this room, I would, first of all, I'd need your play. Most people don't have plays, but we'll get back to that in a sec. So, through the play, I would look for three things as a costume designer. I would look at what that character says about himself, what other characters say about him, and his stage directions, okay? That's all a costume designer has to go on, except when they're working with a director and their vision and all of that kind of thing. But I don't have a play. The guys don't come with their own plays, so what I have to do instead is I have formulated a 35 question profile so that I can get a sense of who that guy is. How does he see the world? What is his past like? What is his present like? What does his future look like? Who does he want to be? His sense of aesthetic? How does he spend his time? All of these things, because these are the points that give me the man's character. This is what starts coming out and being shown. And so once I go through the profile, I come up with a handful of characteristics that, unbeknownst to the client usually, has kept coming up again and again in the questionnaire and the profile. So these are what I hang on to. And we meet, and I say, okay, this is what I found, what do you think? And I have to make sure that the client agrees that I'm on the right track, because that's where we're going. That sets our map. And so, as a costume designer, it's my job to interpret those characteristics through the clothing, okay? All right? So that's the first thing. Now, after that, I get very technical. And so one of the things that we do is we do color analysis. But because I'm working with men, I can't talk about color as I would with women. Women would use different adjectives, for example, to describe color and how color looks on them. But for a man, I talk about physics, because color is light. And so we're really talking about solar radiation, or artificial radiation, I guess when we're talking about light. And how that reflects on the person. So each one of us has our own light reflecting from us. And it's my job to, when I'm draping color palettes on the client, I'm looking for harmony between this light and this light. And when that happens, the man becomes instantly handsome. Yeah, it's true, I'm not kidding. It's like instant. It's instant. And he sees his face change right in front of him in the mirror that we're looking in. And he's seeing his face in ways that he's never seen before. So I'm showing him a perspective of himself that he's never imagined. And this is really, I'm really grateful to do this work. It's so rewarding, so wonderful. But because color can be kind of freaky for guys, because, as I was walking here up Bay Street, everyone, these legions of people were coming towards me dressed in black. And so that kind of tells me, it tells me a lot of things, but it tells me that ultimately a lot of people are afraid of color, especially in this city. I'm not sure why that is, but this is one of my observations. So once we do the color work, in case the client is a little terrified of shopping by himself, it's okay, because he gets one of these. It's a color match. See, it's a matchbook, right? Get it? See, there's color inside, right? So he gets one of these. I designed these for men. It's the same size as a credit card, fits in your wallet. You have it with you all the time when you go shopping. Clients tell me it saves them 90% of their shopping time because they know exactly what colors to look for. Good, okay. After that, we get even more technical. And that's when we do something called body analysis. And that's when I get my handy measuring tape out, and I'm looking at the client as a shape. So, and I'm doing this because my goal is to find the correct cuts of clothing to fit on the client properly. So I do a whole bunch of measurements, and I look at his proportion. So things like, for example, once I explain this to you, I want you to start looking at people, and you're going to see things that you haven't seen before. I don't know if you can see this on me because of what I'm wearing right now, but for most people, one shoulder is higher than the other. Are you aware of this? Probably not. You've probably not thought about shoulders before, but because what I'm doing, I'm dressing the shape, the body. So if a client has one shoulder higher than the other, this is going to influence how the clothing fits on his body. Okay. So for example, one of my clients years ago had such a severely sloped shoulder that his hands were 4 inches difference laying on his thighs. That means he had a really seriously sloped shoulder. And what that meant was when we were dressing him at the tailor, we had to get that shoulder built up in the jacket so that he's balanced. Okay, so I'm looking at things like this. And this could be like tilted hips, longer legs, all of that kind of thing, because we're not actually symmetrical at all. So that's the next thing that I do. After that, we do a wardrobe analysis, and that has to do, sometimes we go into his closet, sometimes we don't, but we're essentially building his wish list wardrobe, I suppose, on paper, based on his lifestyle and what he needs and where he needs it for. So this will simplify his life and save him time when he's, once we're done the shopping. Instead of when he gets up in the morning, he's like, for work, what am I going to wear? Well, don't worry, because you've got a nice little small wardrobe in your closet ready for you. So we'll do things like grooming, we'll do eyewear, we'll do haircuts, all kinds of things unique to each client, because everybody's going to have different needs and they're going to look different and all of that. So ultimately, the goal is to build an efficient wardrobe, and that means fewer pieces, more outfits. Because I know that, women, all the women here will understand what I'm saying. Most of us have big, fat closets because we love clothes. I do. But with a man, it gets a little bit confusing when you have too many choices. I have nothing to wear, that's what you will say. So what I do with my guys, we build an efficient wardrobe, so that means, let's say, 5 shirts for work, 3 for the weekend. 2 pairs of jeans, 3 pairs of dress pants, 2 suits, done. Okay, simple, done. Everything's going to match. Everything is going to look good because of all the analysis that I've done beforehand. And it just makes his life so much simpler. Now, what happens after we're done is the most amazing part. So, if you can imagine, you've gone from here to here, and now your confidence level is rising up to the ceiling. People treat you differently. You have more credibility. You get more attention. And it's just a wonderful, in fact, one of my clients is here tonight, and his life, I think, has gotten better since we worked together. I sure hope so. And it just makes a better life. It's empowering for men as well, I think, to know what they're doing, have a sense of color and fabrics and things like that, cuts of clothing. It makes them feel good. And so when I look at a man, I see his potential, who he could be, what he could do, not the guy that society says he is. And that's what I bring. I bring that genuineness, that authenticity to the man, because that's what I want to bring out, and that's what I want to celebrate. Is each man, no matter what he looks like right now, is awesome, and he's gorgeous, and he deserves to be able to show that. Thank you very much.